Okay, so I'm one of a countless number of individuals with very high IQs who are at the moment complete failures. Now, having a high IQ does not, of course, ensure success. If you grow up in a toxic environment and don't learn what your emotional needs are, what your physical health needs are, don't understand how to overcome depression, anxiety, procrastination, and the other afflictions you may get from a traumatic childhood, it can be quite difficult. But I was able to cure my depression and anxiety, and at the moment I'm working on curing my procrastination. I cured my depression and anxiety through doing a great deal of research, finding out how other people were able to cure their anxiety and depression, and trying out dozens of different methodologies until I found ones that worked. For example, I found that the Alpha Stim, a device, a medical device that you can use at home for cranial electrotherapy stimulation, helped relieve my anxiety and depression about 30%. And then for anxiety, I found that a combination of valerian root, lemon balm, passion flower, and chamomile helped alleviate it another 20-30%. And then RABT therapy, rational motor behavioral therapy, psychological changes through replacing um, irrational thoughts, unhelpful thoughts, destructive thoughts with rational and beneficial thoughts helped relieve another 10, 20, 30%. It's hard to quantify, of course. And then finally, making real high quality friends eliminated the rest. People with whom I could have deep, meaningful discussions regarding everything from philosophy to psychology to religion to science, artificial intelligence, um, nutrition, biohacking, longevity, radical longevity, curing aging, um, you name it. The Science of Good and Evil by Michael Shermer is one of my favorite books. Consilience, The Unity of Knowledge by Edward Wilson. The Singularity is Near When Humans Transcend Biology by Ray Kurzweil. These are the types of books I love to read and discuss. And it was not until college that I found people who were also interested in discussing such highly complex issues. And in doing so, that helped eliminate the remainder of my social anxiety. So I went from not being able to look people in the eyes without my eyes tearing up to being able to go up and talk to anyone. I can go up to any beautiful woman and strike up a conversation with zero anxiety. Of course, now I have a girlfriend, so I don't need that particular skill set. I'm very happy with my girlfriend, and I'm still in love with her. I figured out how the work necessary to maintain a long, healthy, um, romantic relationship with another person. And I had to read, you know, about a dozen books on the subject until I developed a relationship philosophy and methodologies for communication, um, and an understanding of female psychology that allowed me to have a healthy long-term relationship, because I grew up in an environment where there was not a model for a healthy relationship between a man and a female, a man and a woman. So I had to learn and study it on my own. And I learned from many of my own mistakes. I made many, many stupid mistakes because I was not raised with any wisdom or knowledge imparted to me, no values imparted to me, no moral compass. These are all things I had to discover and develop on my own. And so, I spent about 2 or 3 years curing my depression and anxiety. And now I'm at the stage where I'm working on curing my procrastination issues and my lack of motivation. And what I've found so far is that motivation, to have it, you need to meet your emotional needs, one of which is building a support network of people who can provide you knowledge and wisdom and insight, who emotionally support you, that want the best for you, that know your potential, that you can talk to when you're upset or not feeling well for any reason, when you're stressed, um, when you have any problem, you can talk to them and feel better afterwards. And the broader your support network and the the greater the variety of different perspectives you can gain from people in your support network, more benefits you will reap from that. We are social animals. We're meant to live in tribes of people who share similar goals and want us to succeed, and are saddened, filled with a bit of sadness when they see us fail. And we all need that to some degree or another. As I'm highly extroverted, high in trait extroversion, as per the Big Five personality test, I need a lot of socializing every single day to feel my absolute best. So building that support network, as I have done in the past few months, has been a game changer for me. Another emotional need is, if you're high in creativity, as I am, you need an outlet for your creativity. And one such outlet I found is creating videos. So this helps with my emotional need for creativity. You also need physical health for motivation. If you don't have the raw energy, physically and mentally, to perform at your best, you're not going to be motivated. If you feel like crap, if you're in pain, you're not going to be as motivated as if you're healthy and full of energy, obviously. But you can be extremely physically healthy, but if you don't have any emotional needs met, you'll still be unmotivated. You might be able to go to the gym every day and eat healthy, but if none of your emotional needs are properly met, then you're just going to be likely depressed and, lazy, slothful. So you need to meet your physical needs, your emotional needs, and you need to become skilled with negotiating with yourself, which is something I discussed in a previous video, which I'll include I'll include the link for that in the description below, regarding negotiating with yourself. Having the right paradigm regarding, how to design your day, designing a schedule in such a way as you design your ideal day, where it's not all just responsibilities and obligations that you have to fulfill, but also you include time to have fun, time to work on creative projects, time to do things you love, whether it's playing guitar, going to jiu-jitsu practice, spending time with friends, or watching a show that you love, or playing a video game that you love. Design your ideal day with balance in mind. Design such a day where you can look at the schedule and say, well, if I had this day, that'd be a good day. I would I would go to work, attend to my responsibilities for 2 hours, and then I would do these 3 fun things, and then go through my nighttime routine, and then spend an hour playing video games, and then go to bed. Or maybe 2 hours playing video games, or what have you. So I'm beginning to figure out motivation. Fortunately, in the last week, I had a huge setback. I had a lot of physical health problems due to some mistakes I made. I have a cardiovascular issue where if I overexert myself, don't get enough sleep, or drink too much coffee, or do anything that puts too much strain on my heart, I have hypoxic pain in my chest for hours. And I have yet to find a competent cardiologist to help me with that properly. And none of the cardiovascular medications I've taken so far have helped, but I've only tried 2 thus far, and there's many others. Regardless, having a high IQ can be a blessing and a curse, because if you have a high IQ, you need a meaningful career. Like, you can't be satisfied with just being a carpenter or a plumber, because you may be. I'm not skilled with the mechanical skill set. Having a high IQ doesn't make you better than other people, and it's often more of a curse than a blessing in today's society, because we don't have many programs for gifted children, and many gifted kids are like me. In 7th grade, I was tested for ADHD because I wasn't paying attention in class. In 5th and 6th grade, I got straight A's. In 7th grade, I started doing poorly. They found that I was reading and writing at a college level, and I had an IQ of 129. And did they suggest, a gifted program? Did they suggest, taking community college courses online or going to ACCC and perhaps starting college early, or at least trying it out, seeing if that would be an environment that I could thrive in? No. Instead, they just said, here's some Ritalin. Take this so you can pay attention to things that bore you, that bore you out of your skull. You know, it's dreadful, absolutely dreadful. Um, so the good news is that if you have a high IQ and you have good problem solving abilities, you can solve all these problems. You can solve your depression, you can solve anxiety, you can overcome procrastination, you can solve all your problems, but you need to develop the right methodologies to do so. And you need to network with other people with high IQs in similar situations and people who have overcome such situations, so that you have people that you can talk to about these similar problems you may have. The lack of meaningful conversations and discussions, the lack of intellectual stimulation in your life, the failures you've made because you weren't raised in such a manner where you were taught a proper work ethic, where you weren't provided with, where no one believed in you, where no one told you that, if you worked hard you could accomplish anything, that told you that you could help a lot of people if you did X, Y, and Z, that guided you to develop virtues in the Aristotelian sense, like moral courage, conscientiousness, um, temperance, self-discipline, kindness, humility, confidence, and understanding how to be both confident and humble at the same time, and how to solve that paradox. If such things are not explained to you, you have to figure them out on your own. But you can, and you can do that, and you can turn your life around. And I will be either going to law school or going to get my master's so that I can become a therapist, a psychologist. And if I do follow the psychology route, I would love to work with, psychedelic-based therapy to help, with PTSD, stuff like ayahuasca, psilocybin mushrooms, LSD, also MDMA, ketamine. You have the therapy first, then you use the medication once, twice, 3 times, and that allows for a major breakthrough for the patient, and especially for veterans with PTSD. They found that psychedelic therapy can alleviate PTSD 80 to 90%. So you still have PTSD, but it's far less severe. That was the case for Amber Lyons, the award-winning CNN journalist who worked in war zones. She was a war correspondent. She was in Bahrain and reported on the tyranny in Bahrain. And she saw a lot of people die. When she came home, she had PTSD. She talked to Joe Rogan. He mentioned ayahuasca. So she went down to South America, did the ayahuasca ceremony, and it helped her overcome her PTSD that was ruining her life. She woke up in the middle of the night screaming. She was shaking all the time. She had all the symptoms that make your life completely unmanageable and not worth living if you can't find a way to cope. But through ayahuasca, she changed her life, and now she manages the website reset.me, which is all about holistic medicine and the use of psychedelics for overcoming various mental health ailments. But she won international awards for her journalism as a CNN correspondent back when there were real journalists doing real journalism around the world. That seems so long ago now, but it was only maybe 15, 20 years ago that there were still some real journalists out there doing real work, providing true information and insight into the world we live in. She's a great person. But regardless, that's my rant for today. There's other aspects of having a high IQ, the traps you can fall into. You can become, what's the term for hating all of humanity? It's not coming to me, but you'll know the term. But that's easy to fall into, seeing other people as stupid, resenting other people for not wanting to discuss the type of things you love to discuss, being lonely because it's hard to find other people to have deep, meaningful conversations with at the level you'd like to. And also, if you're high in openness to new ideas and experiences, a lot of people are very close-minded, And if you're high in openness, you go out seeking to prove your opinions wrong, whereas other people are insecure and always want to be right. There's a great book about this called Think Again that was published recently, which is all about, developing paradigms about the world and then seeking to, developing research conclusions and then seeking to disprove them through discussions and debates. Debating people in order to learn rather than to win, and constantly challenging your own beliefs, opinions, research conclusions, and paradigms so that you can grow intellectually and let go of erroneous conclusions and let go of paradigms that aren't nuanced enough, that are too simple-minded. After doing further research and analysis, you find things are far more complex than you originally understood them to be. But that's the case with all highly complex subject matter that you research. There's always more to learn, and your viewpoint can always be more sophisticated. But that's all for now. I'm glad I finally did a video again. I did a week without making any videos because, I was just eating junk food and my health wasn't very good. I was suffering from chest pains. And of course, when I was suffering from chest pains, I made it worse by eating junk food because I got depressed, not being able to do anything, lying in bed in pain, unmotivated because I was in pain. It was terrible. And hopefully that will never happen again. And I'm working right now to ensure it never does through using self-authoring, future authoring, and developing a vision for my ideal future and writing out what I need to do to make that ideal future become realized in the future, actualized in reality through my efforts, through habits that I do every day. So thank you for watching. If you can relate, please post a comment below. And if you'd like to network with me, I'll post a link to some of my social media in the description below.